Aliens betrayed us in war, now humanity makes them pay. Subscribe, and comment where you are watching from. Part 1, Broken Promises. Earth, United Defense Command, Geneva Megaspire. The rain hammered the glass walls of the command chamber, streaking the holograms with watery static. Inside, the air was heavy, thick with tension and the smell of ozone from overworked processors. The room pulsed red, emergency protocols active across all Terran colonies. General Mira Cade stood at the heart of it, jaw clenched, staring at a three-dimensional battle map. It showed the aftermath of HFY 4. A graveyard of twisted metal, scorched earth, and the wrecks of what had once been an entire joint human-Sorelian defense fleet. Except the Sorelians weren't there anymore. They had left. Right before the enemy arrived. They turned their backs on us, whispered Admiral Jonathan Reyes, his voice barely containing the tremor. Mira didn't answer. Her hands were locked behind her back, shoulders taut as iron. They said they'd hold the northern ridge, Reyes continued. Instead, they vanished from the grid, powered down their weapons, and warped out like cowards. No, Mira said at last. Her voice was cold, clear. Not cowards. Traitors. 6 days earlier, orbit of HFY 4. The human and Sorelian forces stood side by side. The sky above the colony planet shimmered with defense grids and weapon arrays. Captain Isaac Thorne, commanding the TNS Resolute, opened a private channel to the Sorelian fleet commander, Bazar. We've confirmed the Keltar invasion force is entering outer orbit. You ready? The Sorelian, his pale blue eyes blinking slow, responded with a calmness that had once comforted Isaac. Human resolve continues to impress us. We will honor our pact. Isaac smiled faintly. See you on the other side. But he never would. Because 2 hours later, just before the Keltar ships arrived, the entire Sorelian fleet cloaked and warped away. And they never came back. Present day, Geneva. Reyes dropped a datapad onto the table. 2,000 dead. 5 settlements lost. Children, Mira. Children. We trusted them, Mira said quietly. We bled beside them for years. Shared technology. Shared food. Built homes together. And when it was their turn to hold the line, her fists trembled. They stabbed us in the back. Reyes's voice lowered. What do we do? Mira looked up. The answer was already decided. We make them pay. Mars, Human Strategic Arsenal Vault. Beneath the red sands, buried deeper than most knew existed, lay the Nightfall Protocol, a directive created not during peace, but in the darkest years of the Unification Wars. It was never meant to be used. Until now. Mira descended alone, past biometric gates and retinal scans, until she reached the core, a glass case holding a black data shard. The key. She pressed her palm against the reader. Authorization. General Mira Cade. Directive, revoke Alliance Charter, Sorelian Species. Initiate, Project Retribution. Aboard the TNS Vindicator. Captain Isaac Thorne paced the warship's command bridge. We've confirmed the Sorelian fleet is massed in neutral orbit above Lyra 7, his XO reported. They've deployed diplomatic drones, claim they want to explain. Isaac's eyes narrowed. They'll get their explanation. After we remind them what betrayal costs. He turned to the weapons officer. Arm the Soul Lances. Power up railguns. Load the Jericho warheads. There was a pause. The weapons officer hesitated. But, we served with them, sir. Isaac's voice was stone. And I buried friends because of them. Lyra 7 system, Sorelian orbital sector. The TNS Vindicator exited warp space in a blaze of blue light, flanked by 3 Terran assault frigates. On the other side of the system, Dozens of Cerelian cruisers lit up in surprise, scrambling to form a defensive wall. "Human vessel," came the voice of Vazar over a shared broadcast. "You misunderstand. We had no choice. Orders came from." "Spare me," Isaac said. "You made your choice." A moment's silence. Then, for the first time, the calm Cerelian voice cracked. "Are you declaring war?" Isaac didn't answer with words. He answered with fire. "First strike." The Vindicator's soul lances roared, searing beams of concentrated plasma carved through Cerelian hulls like knives through ice. Frigates spun through the fleet formation, railguns hammering shields, Jericho warheads locking onto command vessels. Isaac sat motionless as the battle unfolded. He watched cruiser after cruiser bloom into flame, listened to his crew deliver the verdict humanity had long hesitated to speak. "You do not betray us and survive." Cerelian Council, Central Dome, Afra Prime. Panic reigned. Counselors screamed over each other, pointing fingers, demanding answers. Why had they abandoned their allies? Why had Earth struck back so hard? Elder Maelja, former Earth ambassador, whispered through a translator. "We were their friends. Until we proved we were only friends of convenience. And now? Now the humans were coming. Not as partners. As judges." Part 2, The Ashes of Trust. Cerelian Orbit, Aftermath of the Battle of Lyra, 7. Smoke still coiled from the shattered wreckage of the Cerelian 2nd Defense Fleet. Where once elegant crescent-shaped cruisers drifted in harmony, now debris fields spiraled in disarray, fragments spinning through the cold dark. Aboard the TNS Vindicator, Captain Isaac Thorne watched it all from the bridge's viewing bay. "Confirmed kills," he asked without looking away. 14 Cerelian warships destroyed. 6 crippled. "Minimal return fire," reported the XO. Isaac didn't nod. He didn't speak. Because deep down, it hadn't brought satisfaction. Only the beginning of reckoning. United Defense Command, Earth Orbit, Station Eden. General Mira Cade stood in full dress uniform, flanked by the most powerful officers of the Terran Navy. The screens around her showed worlds burning, families displaced, soldiers standing over makeshift graves. The Cerelians were calling it a misunderstanding. Earth called it murder. "They thought we wouldn't respond," Mira said to the gathered brass. "They thought our kindness was weakness. That our unity would unravel under betrayal." She turned toward the main display, a rotating hologram of Afra Prime, the Cerelian homeworld. "We show them what unity actually looks like. Cerelian Capital, Council of Ascendants." Inside a vast chamber of glass and living crystal, the ruling class of Cerelia bickered over protocols, politics, and panic. "This is escalating," Councillor Talen hissed. "The humans have destroyed our forward fleet and refused diplomacy." "Because we abandoned them at Arathea," replied Maelja, the only counselor who had ever lived on Earth. His voice was low. "They bled for us, died for us. And we walked away the moment it was our turn." Talen scoffed. "We were ordered to preserve the fleet for defensive use." Maelja turned to her sharply. "And who ordered you to trade lives for strategy?" Silence. He continued, softer now. "I warned you. They would not forget. And now they're coming. In transit, TNS Vindicator." The journey to Cerelia's core systems was not cloaked. It was intentional. Terran warships moved openly, defying intercepts, ignoring warnings, smashing forward pickets with precision. Inside the ship's ready room, Isaac reviewed intercepted transmissions. Jace, his former gunner turned intelligence officer, entered. "They're trying everything. Peace offers. Reparations. Blame games." Isaac didn't turn around. Too late. "They've started broadcasting memorial messages," Jace added, voice quieter. "Lists of humans who died at Arathea. Names we never saw on the rolls. They're trying to show us they care. Isaac sighed, fingers brushing the edge of his old unit patch, now stitched in black, the color of mourning. They remember our dead now because our guns are pointed at them. Cerulean Colony World, Alien Reach. The TNS Dauntless emerged from subspace above the pristine garden world, flanked by 3 Terran escorts. Cerulean civilians ran for shelters. Defense drones activated. No shots were fired yet. Inside the colony's central tower, Ambassador Lara Vaughn, who once toasted peace with human diplomats, now stood trembling beside a holotransmitter. A channel opened. General Mira Cade appeared on screen. Lara, Mira said coldly. You remember my voice? Lara nodded slowly, her throat dry. Yes. Of course I do. You gave me wine and smiles when we opened our base here. You said, the future belongs to the joined. I meant every word. You still believe that? Lara looked behind her at the panicked civilians. I do. Myra's eyes narrowed. Then understand. This is mercy. She cut the transmission. Moments later, EMP cannons blanketed the colony, disabling weapons, communications, and planetary shields, but not harming the people. No one died. But everything stopped. The message was clear. We could have destroyed you. We chose not to. This time. Back on Earth, civilian response. Not all of humanity rejoiced. Protests broke out in the green domes of Europa, the spire cities of Venus, even on Earth itself. The Terran Accord had been built on peace, not vengeance. In the rain outside Unity Hall, a group of civilians held candles, chanting, "Not in our name." A child held a sign that read, "They made us better. Don't make us worse." General Mira Cade watched the footage from her office, silent. She didn't turn it off. Didn't scowl. She simply let the words soak in, like rain on steel. Offer Prime, final warning. Terran fleets arrived in orbit around the Cerulean capital. No shots fired. No immediate attack. Just silence. Then a final broadcast. This is humanity. You called us friends. Then left us to die. You called us partners. Then made excuses. This is not revenge. This is justice. You will learn that trust once broken, cannot be begged back. We are not your saviors. We are your reckoning. Part 3, The Price of Betrayal. Alpha Prime, orbiting Terran command ship TNS Sovereign. The Sovereign was unlike any other vessel the Ceruleans had ever seen. Not because of its size, though it dwarfed their cruisers. Not because of its weapons, though they gleamed with untested firepower. But because of the silence around it. It didn't posture. It didn't flash warnings. It simply hung in orbit, a reminder of the storm waiting to fall. Inside, General Mira Cade stood on the bridge, her expression carved in stone. Status, she asked. All orbital defenses remain powered down, the comms officer replied. They're waiting. Watching. Let them. She turned to Admiral Reyes beside her. We end this. Today. Offer Prime, Council Chambers. The planet's surface shimmered with force fields. The great domes of crystal and metal pulsed with nervous light. Cerulean civilians huddled in underground shelters, listening to emergency broadcasts that echoed with one phrase. They have come to collect. Inside the council chambers, Malja stood before his peers. They won't stop, he said. Not unless we give them what they need. What do they want? One counselor spat. Our surrender. No. Our soul. Malja turned to the central dais. We betrayed them. We broke the very alliance we built together. We have two choices, pretend it didn't happen, or face the cost. He looked upward, toward the heavens. I say we face it. Aboard the TNS Sovereign. A signal came through. A personal message. Not from the Council, but from Malja, once Earth's envoy, now surrounded by those who feared Earth's fire. Mira accepted the transmission. The Cerelian elder appeared, head bowed. I do not speak for my government, he said. I speak for those who remember what we had. You abandoned us. I know. You left our wounded behind. Our children. Our doctors. I know. Mira stepped closer to the display. Do you have any idea what it takes for a human to forgive something like that? Malja lifted his gaze, sadness pouring through those pale blue eyes. More than most species can bear. And yet. Earth always bore more than expected. Myra's face was unreadable. Then listen carefully. We won't burn your cities. We won't erase your names. But we will make sure no one forgets what you did. She closed the channel. Then issued a new order. Operation, Brand Mark. Across Cerelian space, Terran ships deployed non-lethal tactical strikes. Communication satellites were destroyed in precision hits, severing interplanetary channels. Orbital shipyards were dismantled, engines fused by EMP charges. Financial hubs lost access to interstellar currency networks. The Cerelians weren't just wounded. They were isolated. Cut off. Marked. Every system they entered lit up red with a new designation. Status, untrusted species, traitor designation. Back on Earth, Terran Senate hearing. Not everyone agreed with the campaign. Senators debated ethics, proportionality, future diplomacy. In a crowded hearing room, Captain Isaac Thorne testified. I lost more friends in 1 hour on Erythea than I did in the Unification rebellions, he said. The Cerelians didn't just abandon us. They calculated that our lives weren't worth their risk. A senator asked, do you believe they can change? Isaac didn't hesitate. I believe we can. I believe we must. He leaned forward. But change doesn't come from silence. It comes from consequence. Cerelian resistance, spark of reckoning. In the shadows of collapsed orbital industries, a movement began to form. Young Cerelians, those who had once studied on Earth, trained with Terran officers, loved humans, began demanding a reckoning of their own government's actions. They adopted Earth symbols. Protested under banners that read, oaths mean something. The Cerelian leadership began to fracture. Some called for war. Some called for humility. And amidst it all, a new question burned like fire through their people. What does it mean to be trusted by humanity, and lose it? Myra's private log, entry 271. We could have broken them. Cracked their world, just like they cracked our hearts at Erythea. But we chose a different path. They won't forget it. Neither will we. And now. They must decide who they want to become. Because the next time they betray trust, there will be no speeches. No protocols. Only silence. Part 4, The Weight of Justice. Cerelian border, the line of sanctions. It had once been open space, where cargo ships drifted from system to system, flags of alliance proudly beaming across star lanes. Now it was a wall. Terran monitoring buoys dotted the zone, armed with kinetic mines and auto-respawn defense protocols. Any Cerelian vessel that crossed was tagged, redirected, or, if defiant, disabled. Captain Isaac Thorne, now transferred to TNS Sentinel, stood with his arms folded, watching a Cerelian freighter hesitate at the edge of the zone. Signal, he asked. Requesting passage to medical facilities on Vega Station. Carrying children with spinal rot. Isaac exhaled. Protocol. Red line restricted. He paused. The war still burned in his mind. Erythea's screams. The cold silence when their allies left. And yet. Allow them through, he said at last. One-time medical exemption. We'll escort them. The XO looked at him, surprised. You sure? Isaac nodded. Let's show them what trust actually looks like. Earth, Memorial Garden, Geneva. Rows of names shimmered in starlight. The memorial of the betrayed, they called it. Each name etched not just in memory, but in purpose. General Mira Cade walked between the monoliths alone, fingers brushing the cold letters. She stopped at a name. Lieutenant Callan Rourke. Arathea 4, refused evacuation. He had stayed behind to hold a med bay door shut from the outside. A Sorelian commander had promised backup. It never came. Mira closed her eyes. A voice echoed beside her. Ambassador Celeste Wren, newly reinstated after a long absence. They're asking to negotiate, Wren said. Who? Their new council. Replaced Taylen. Elevated Mailja. Mira didn't turn. Tell them to meet us on the ashes of their betrayal. Negotiation Summit, Neutral Ground, Vespera Station. The platform was neutral only in name, built by Terrans, hosted by Terrans, policed by Terrans. But it held hope. Mailja, now High Speaker, entered flanked by unarmed Sorelian officials. They bowed to Mira Cade and Ambassador Wren. Mira remained standing. Why now? She asked. Because our children chant human words, Mailja said softly. Because our soldiers refuse to fire. Because they no longer believe in us. And do you? Mira asked. I believe, in what we had. What we could still have. Ambassador Wren stepped forward. Then understand what comes next. She activated a holodocument. The Justice Accords. Clause 1, Sorelian Acknowledgement of Betrayal. Clause 2, Reparations for Fallen Terran Colonies. Clause 3, Permanent Disarmament of Outer Fleets. Clause 4, Centuries-long Probation. Clause 5, Memorial Construction on Arathea 4, built by Sorelians, guarded by Terrans. Mailja read it. Silent. Then he reached for the stylus. Signed. The room exhaled. Arathea 4, 1 year later. The colony was rebuilding. Slowly. Cautiously. Flowers now bloomed over cratered soil, fed by ash and rain. At the heart of the new settlement stood a stone obelisk, Sorelian crystal woven with Terran steel. Carved in both languages were words neither side would ever forget. Trust is not given. It is proven. And when broken, it must be rebuilt together. Children played beneath it. Terran. Sorelian. Side by side. TNS Sentinel, Captain's Log. Peace isn't loud. It's not banners and parades. Peace is a hand not pulled away. A door left open. A freighter allowed to pass without fear. They say war makes us strong. But what if it's restraint that truly tests our strength? They betrayed us. But they're trying to make it right. And we're strong enough to let them. Part 5, Never Again. Arathea 4, The Day of Silence. It had been 5 years since the betrayal. The fields of Arathea, once charred black, now shimmered gold with sunflowers and grain. The people returned, slowly, then in waves. The scars had not faded, but they had been planted over, cultivated with memory and resolve. Today, a hush fell across the colony. No engines rumbled. No construction hummed. Even the wind seemed to respect the moment. Because today was the day of silence, a shared Terran-Sorelian commemoration. To remember the fallen. To remember the mistake. To never forget the cost. Sorelian delegation, arrival on Arathea. The shuttle landed quietly. No fanfare. No flags. Maelja, still High Speaker, stepped onto Erythea's surface with deliberate humility. Behind him were not soldiers, but artists, engineers, and children. One of them, a boy no older than 7, wore a Terran scarf. General Mira Cade waited for them beneath the great obelisk. "Thank you for coming," she said. Maelja bowed his head. "Thank you for allowing us." They walked together through the settlement. Past rebuilt homes. New farms. Laughter in the distance. "You could have erased us," he said. "We did," Mira replied, calm. "Not your people. Your power." She turned toward the obelisk. "But you had the strength to rebuild something better." Inside the memorial hall, names carved in light. Over 5,000 names shimmered in soft blue glow. Terran names. Cerelian names. Side by side. Captain Isaac Thorne stood at the far wall, fingers hovering over a familiar name. Commander Raylon Vuthan, Cerelian, killed protecting Terran medical crew. It had been a name he'd once hated. Now it was a name he honored. Jace approached from behind. "You coming to the evening vigil?" "In a minute." Isaac looked around. "You think we'll ever stop feeling it?" Jace shrugged. "No. But that's the point." Geneva, Earth Broadcast Network. Across all Terran colonies and outposts, a single image was broadcast. A still frame of the Erythea Memorial. Terran and Cerelian hands placing candles together. No music. No narration. Just silence. And beneath it, a single phrase. "Let this silence be louder than war." Ambassador Wren's address, United Systems Forum. Peace is not trust. Peace is the start of trust. What we lost at Erythea wasn't just lives, it was innocence. The belief that alliances are unshakable. But what we gained after, was harder. And more powerful. We learned that strength is not shown by how hard we strike, but by how fiercely we uphold our principles even when we have every reason not to. And to those who think betrayal makes peace impossible. She looked directly into the lens. You don't know humanity. Erythea, final scene. General Mira Cade walked alone toward the edge of a hill, overlooking the fields. Children, Cerelian and Terran, ran through wildflowers below. She sat down in the grass, watching the breeze ripple through the stalks. Her wrist calm chimed. A message from Earth Command. Project Retribution, final stage cleared. Reclassified, archived. She smiled faintly. Then deleted the file. Because there would be no final strike. No last wave of vengeance. Just the echo of everything they'd learned, written not in steel, but in forgiveness earned by fire. Final log entry, Captain Isaac Thorne. I swore I'd make them pay. And we did. Not with annihilation, but with the weight of what they lost. They lost our friendship. Then earned it back. And maybe that's the truest victory we've ever had. Never again means more when you mean it together. The end.